Have you ever felt like a woman slowly stopped respecting you, but you couldn't figure out when it happened? If that sounds familiar, this video is for you. Here's the truth most men don't want to hear. Women don't accidentally walk all over men. It only happens when a man fails to set boundaries early in the relationship. In the early stages of dating, there are 5 boundaries that decide whether she sees you as a man she respects or a man she slowly takes for granted. Miss even one, and you'll end up confused, overgiving, and wondering why things suddenly flipped. This isn't about being harsh, playing games, or controlling women. It's about knowing the exact moments where men give away leverage and how to stop it before attraction turns into tolerance. Most dating advice tells you how to react. This video shows you how to position yourself so you don't have to react at all. The secret isn't confidence or charm, it's structure. Boundaries create structure, and structure decides who leads the relationship and who follows it. If you're ready to stop guessing and start controlling your own position, hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned because it all starts with the first boundary most men ignore. Never give financial access before it's earned. Many men think talking about money is just casual conversation. I'm just sharing a little about my salary or my savings. It's normal, right? Wrong. To a woman, early financial information is not intimacy, it's data. Here's what happens. The moment you casually mention your income, your investments, or your upcoming trips, something subtle but irreversible shifts. You stop being the man she's discovering. Instead, you become the man she's measuring. She starts silently assessing stability, capacity, and what you can provide. This is what I call the provider audition. Remember, she hasn't committed yet. She hasn't invested, but you're already standing on stage proving your usefulness. And the scary part? You probably don't even notice it happening. A casual joke about a bonus, a comment about how much you've saved, these small things signal a quiet evaluation. Once that evaluation starts, attraction stops being emotional. It becomes practical, calculating, transactional. You don't become the man she desires, you become the man she can rely on. Where appreciation replaces desire. Gratitude replaces attraction. And here's the kicker. She doesn't even need to ask for money. All she does is observe how freely you expose your financial life. Why do men do this? Because society teaches that providing equals value, that security equals desirability. But here's the truth. In the early stages of dating, provision doesn't create attraction. It kills mystery. You're no longer exciting. You're predictable. You're no longer being discovered. You're being measured. The correct boundary is simple. You don't have to make speeches. You don't need to over-explain. You don't apologize or justify. Stay calm. Stay grounded. Protect your structure. No unsolicited help. No financial discussions until she's truly invested. Here's what happens when you do it right. A woman who's genuinely interested respects this immediately. She sees a man who protects his frame and values himself. A woman who's only looking for what you can provide will quietly filter herself out. Leadership starts where access is controlled. The moment you give access too early, you're stepping into a role downgrade. From partner to provider, from desired man to utility. And once that shift happens, attraction doesn't come back. You can't charm your way out of it. You can't talk your way back into mystery. So, protect your financial information early. Keep it as your private frame. Control access. Maintain position. Protect attraction. 2. Never tolerate subtle disrespect. Most men think disrespect is loud and obvious. Raised voices, insults, arguments. That's why they miss it when it actually matters. Real disrespect doesn't announce itself. It sneaks in quietly, testing to see if you'll stop it. It shows up when she interrupts you mid-sentence and keeps talking, when she makes a passive joke at your expense and follows it with, "Relax, I'm just teasing," when she casually compares you to her ex or ignores your messages for hours while expecting instant replies from you. None of these moments feel big enough to confront, and that's exactly why they work. From a psychological perspective, these are tests. She's asking a silent question. Can I get away with this? Women test boundaries like water tests cracks, slowly, incrementally, one small push at a time. If nothing pushes back, the pressure increases. Here's a scenario many men recognize but rarely address. You're out with her and a few friends. Everyone's laughing and talking. Someone asks how things are going between you two. She smirks and says, "He's fine," even though you're not being clueless. Her friends laugh. She laughs. You smile and tell yourself it's harmless, but something just happened. She just lowered your status in public. She used you as a moment of entertainment, and more importantly, she's watching how you respond. When you let subtle disrespect slide, you're not being easygoing. You're signaling that your self-respect is negotiable and that her comfort matters more than your boundaries. Once a woman realizes she can step over you without consequence, she will, not because she's cruel, but because you once showed her there's no line. Silence is not composure. Silence is consent. That's the mistake men make when they convince themselves staying quiet makes them look calm or mature. In reality, what you're communicating is much simpler and much more damaging. You're telling her this behavior is allowed, and once that precedent is set, it compounds. One small pass turns into another, then another, until the dynamic has shifted so far that fixing it feels impossible. High-value men don't respond to disrespect with anger, sarcasm, or drama. They respond immediately, calmly, and directly. One short sentence, no edge, no explanation, no emotional charge, just a clear line drawn in the sand. That response resets the frame. It tells her and everyone watching that you respect yourself enough to stop disrespect immediately. This isn't about controlling her behavior. It's about enforcing your own standards. Respect is not negotiated through patience or endurance. And it's not preserved by silence. Respect is enforced. Never make your time freely available just because you like her. This is where most men sabotage themselves before a relationship even has a chance. You think being available all the time shows interest. You think saying yes quickly proves enthusiasm. You think rearranging your schedule makes you look invested, but from her side, it sends the exact opposite message. When a man is always available, it doesn't signal desire. It signals a size lack of structure. Women don't evaluate men in isolation. They evaluate the life around them. If your schedule collapses whenever she reaches out, if you cancel plans, skip workouts, or move commitments just to accommodate her, she doesn't feel chosen. She feels prioritized at the expense of everything else. Paradoxically, this lowers attraction. Men believe scarcity pushes women away, but the absence of structure pushes them away even faster. A man who drops everything the moment she appears doesn't look committed. He looks unanchored. Women don't trust men who have nothing anchoring them. The correct boundary is simple. Protect your schedule. Stick to your commitments. Don't rearrange your life for impulse meetups or late-night requests. When you protect your time, your life already has direction before she ever steps into it. Your time becomes intentional, not convenient. When a man treats his time like currency, he's always in demand. Not because he's playing games or unavailable, but because his life has momentum and purpose. When your time has value, she sees you differently. She stops seeing you as an option she can summon. She starts seeing you as a man she has to meet halfway. Time creates anticipation when it's not on demand. Saying no doesn't kill momentum, it sharpens it. When you don't jump every time she reaches out, you signal self-control, maturity, and groundedness. A man with purpose doesn't fake scarcity, he lives intentionally. When your time is protected, attraction has space to grow. When your time is unlimited, attraction suffocates. You don't win by being constantly present. You win by being consistently grounded. Guard your time, guard your life, and the right women will naturally rise to meet your energy. Never become her emotional dumping ground before she commits. This is one of the most common traps men fall into, and it hides itself as connection. She opens up early, talks about her ex, her past trauma, family drama, or how every man before you hurt her. She cries on the phone and says she's never felt this understood. You feel special. You feel like you're different. But here's the truth. This is not intimacy, it's recruitment. What's happening is simple. She's testing how much emotional labor you're willing to carry before she gives anything real in return. Most men volunteer without realizing the cost. They listen for hours, reassure, stay up late calming her down, give advice, and absorb her emotional weight. Slowly and quietly, the dynamic shifts. You're no longer the man she desires. You become the man she stabilizes herself with. Men often mistake this for bonding. They think, she trusts me. What they don't see is that trust without investment doesn't create attraction. It creates utility. She leans on you, but her excitement, curiosity, and unpredictability go elsewhere. Not because you did something wrong, but because you stepped into the role of therapist instead of partner. Masculine polarity dies the moment you become her emotional container too early. Mystery fades, tension dissolves, and desire flattens. Once you are emotionally categorized as the safe one, it sticks. You can't charm or argue your way out of that position. The right boundary isn't being cold. It's about pacing intimacy. You can be present without being responsible. You can listen without carrying. You can care without collapsing into her emotional world. Emotional closeness is powerful, but only when it's mutual and earned. Healthy emotional pacing looks like this. You listen, you acknowledge, you stay grounded, but you don't jump into problem-solving mode. You don't become the late-night crisis line. You don't let her emotional storms dictate your availability or your identity. This boundary protects masculine polarity. Polarity exists when there's tension, space, and mutual effort. It dies when one person becomes the emotional anchor while the other drifts freely. Men think pulling back emotionally makes them uncaring, but in reality, it cleans the connection, invites reciprocity, and gives her the chance to step forward emotionally. A woman bonds with the man she invests in, not the one who carries her emotional weight for free. This doesn't block intimacy. It preserves desire. Intimacy that isn't earned builds dependence, not attraction. Never panic when she pulls back. This is the moment where most men undo everything they did right before. Things were going well, the energy was there, the connection felt mutual, then something shifts. Her replies slow down, the warmth fades, the effort drops, and instead of staying grounded, you panic. That panic is instinctive. You feel the distance and immediately assume something is wrong. Maybe she's stressed. Maybe you said something wrong. Maybe there's someone else. And without realizing it, you start doing the one thing guaranteed to kill attraction. You try harder while she does less. It usually unfolds in 3 predictable ways. First, you fill the silence. She creates space, and you rush to close it. More messages, faster replies, extra check-ins. What you're really saying is, I'm uncomfortable without your attention. Second, you try to reassure her. You offer emotional availability on demand. You let her know you're there for anything. Every word quietly communicates fear. Fear of losing her. Fear of the connection slipping away. Third, you overcompensate. You plan more, compliment more, give more. You turn up the effort, hoping it will restore what distance removed. But attraction doesn't work that way. From a power dynamic perspective, the moment you increase effort in response to withdrawal, the balance shifts. She holds the frame. You chase it. Once that imbalance locks in, desire suffocates. A woman cannot miss a man who is constantly trying to close the gap. She can only miss what has space to disappear. Pulling back is not always a test. Sometimes it's clarity forming. Sometimes interest is fading. Sometimes it's just life. But panic turns every possibility into the same outcome: loss of leverage, loss of attraction, loss of self-respect. Attraction never returns because you try harder. It returns when there's absence, not effort. You were taught that effort fixes problems, that persistence proves value, that showing up more stabilizes love. But romantic attraction doesn't respond to effort, it responds to space. When you stop rewarding distance with more attention, one of two things happens, and both work in your favor. If she's genuinely interested, she recalibrates. She notices the absence. The imbalance corrects itself. Her effort rises to meet yours. Consistency returns, not because you chased it, but because you gave it room to surface. If she doesn't come back, then the truth was already there. Your boundary didn't cause the loss, it revealed it faster. This is where men get stuck emotionally. They think if they pull back, they'll lose her. What they don't see is that they were already losing themselves, trying to keep her close. Never reward distance with effort. Effort given in response to withdrawal trains imbalance. Absence restores polarity, returns control to your side, and reminds her that access to you is not guaranteed. If she chooses not to step forward, you didn't lose a woman who wanted you. You stopped chasing an illusion that required you to abandon your grounding. What you've just learned isn't a collection of random dating tips. It's a system. 5 boundaries, 1 framework, 1 purpose. Protecting your value before someone else decides what it's worth. These boundaries aren't about controlling women. They're not about manipulation. And they're definitely not about turning cold or disconnected. They exist for one reason only: to keep you from losing yourself while trying to keep someone else. When you control financial access, you protect leverage. When you shut down disrespect early, you protect dignity. When you guard your time, you protect direction. When you pace emotional intimacy, you protect polarity. When you stop chasing withdrawal, you protect self-respect. Together, these boundaries form a filter. Women who are drawn to structure, strength, and self-control will feel safer and more attracted to you. Women who were only comfortable when you were overgiving, overavailable, and overinvested will quietly disappear. That's not loneliness. That's clarity. Boundaries don't make you harder to love. They make it possible for the right person to love you without you shrinking or sacrificing yourself to earn it. They make sure that when a woman chooses you, she's choosing the real man you are, not the version who bends, gives too much, or tolerates being taken for granted. If there's one truth to walk away with, it's this: you don't gain power by demanding more from women. You gain power by requiring more from yourself. If this resonated, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it with the man who keeps giving too much and getting less. Leave a comment and tell me which boundary hit you the hardest. This channel isn't here to comfort you. It's here to keep you from losing yourself.